Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 2 of Dao Zu Shi season 3. Oh my gosh, this last episode was such a good start to the season. We had WuXian and Wangji moments. We had mystery intrigue with these new characters Yang and Xingxin and Song. We had some cool creepy corpses in Yi City, and then Xingxin shows up and apparently is, I don't know if he's trying to attack WuXian necessarily or if he's trying to attack the corpses. He's killing the corpses, so I don't know if he's trying to keep them from inquiring out of any more of them or what the deal is, but it is very interesting. And I'm super, super excited. This season has been off to a great start, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I watched episode 1 yesterday, and then they released episode 2 via VIP. So it's like $5.99 a month for the subscription on Tencent. And I thought, well, if I end up watching any more Donghua that's through Tencent, I'll have the subscription, so that'll be nice. If anything, I'm going to be watching Dao Zu Shi, so you might as well have it anyway. So if you can support WeTV and Tencent, I would highly encourage you to do so, because this series is awesome, and clearly there has been a large amount of work and dedication put into it, because the animation looks good and the content has been great so far. I can't believe, I feel like we've gotten more Wangji WuXian moments, some more Wangxin moments out of this one episode than we did half of season 1. So that's great. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next and to see what all we delve into and learn about Xingxin and Song. I know his last name was like Zishan, but it sounds like Zishan. It sounds like Wangji's brother, so I might just call him Song. And then, or Zirin. I need to look that back up again. And then Yang. And Yang I've heard is a polarizing character, and he is very intriguing to me. He has a very sensual voice, which I find interesting. So I'm curious to get more into his character. I'm not going to make any judgments on any of the new characters yet, because as Wangji has told us, you can't just judge something until you see the whole picture. So we'll just go with that. But anyway, I am excited, y'all. But yeah, let's do this. Let's dive into episode 2, shall we? And we are going to start episode 2 here in 5, 4, and 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh, buddy. Yeah. So the mystery in this show, curiouser and curiouser. I did not see that coming with him actually being Yang. I thought for sure that was Xingxin. I was like, okay, it's Xingxin, and he's suffering from a corpse disease, and he's trying to like fight the Song corpse, and he's like a fierce corpse now, and he's trying to like help his friend, and he's like for some reason he's killed him. Like, what a mystery. But I did not see that coming with him being Yang. That's so cool. That's such a cool twist that he seems like he's our main antagonist, right? That we've all been building up to this, because the corpses that were over by Yiling, like all that has like a symbol on there that seems similar to him. He's clearly got good demonic cultivation skills, because he's controlling the corpse of Song the same way that WuXian's controlling the corpse of Ning. And the cat's out of the bag. Even worse, Yang knows that that's WuXian. Yang knows it's him. Okay. It's only a matter of time now before everybody else finds out, because Chang knows, Wangji knows, Yang knows now, so it's only a matter of time before Yao and the others figure out that WuXian's back and that it's him. Unless they somehow keep Yang's mouth shut, but I don't see that happening. Yang seems like somebody that he would want that information to get out. And the gloved hand, I'm rewatching the episode, the gloved hand, I'm like, is that Xingxin or is that Yang? This is so interesting, because here's the thing. We're establishing this idea of actors and people portraying others. And so here's where it gets confusing, right? Because, and I feel like they're going to tie this back. I feel like this is going to tie back to season 2, because in the novel we've not got here yet. But in the flashback where it showed the 3 brothers and the one that killed Ruhan, it was Yao, right? Yao pretending to be a Lan Clan member, or pretending to be the elder brother. It was Yao that killed him, but Yao had the ability to act and look like someone else. Yang has the same ability. He can look like somebody else. Because even with the hair and stuff, it did not look like Yang from when we saw him in the flashbacks. So clearly there is some kind of cloaking or his ability to look different. It's because even his hair is like a different color, right, than it was in the flashback. So there seems to be a connection between Yang and Yao, and I don't know what that connection is yet, because there was a connection to them in the flashback. Yang didn't want Yao didn't want Yang killed. They both had the idea to impersonate other people. It just seems like there's a connection there, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's there, and we just haven't learned enough about Yang yet and about Yao yet, to be honest, to know any more. But I like that WuXian comments that the air is the dark, resentful energy is thinner up above, and that makes sense why Wangji went up on the rooftops to use his instrument, because he was able to be more skilled there. And of course, Baby Ling. Oh my God! At this point in the series, I want Ling to know that it's WuXian. I just want him to know that it's really him, because Chang obviously knows it's WuXian, and Ling thinks that Chang just thinks that it's WuXian, but it's really Mo Jianyu. But it's so hard to watch, because WuXian is clearly trying to connect to his nephew. He's caring for him. He's carrying him throughout this city, like in his arms, like to rescue him. He's trying to cure him from the corpse sickness and everything. And Ling just keeps himself an arm's distance because he thinks it's Mo Jianyu. And it's like, at this point, I'm like, oh, I wish that WuXian could just tell him that it's him and explain what's been going on. I really wish he could do that, because it's so hard. Like, there was a few facial expressions that WuXian had where he was like, I can't do anything. And so Yang pretending to be Jingxin, falling behind, doing the and coughing and everything, trying to gain WuXian's trust. It's so very, very interesting to me. But yeah, Baby Ling just screws it up. And saying, and they're talking about demonic cultivation, and Yang is like, you need to be careful, because, demonic cultivation can lead to sickness and death. I mean, even the great WuXian wasn't, spared from it. And WuXian's like, And I like that WuXian just lectures Ling half the time. He's like, if you don't do this, whippersnapper, it's going to get worse. And Ling's like, you're my age. And it's like, no, he's not. But, oh my gosh. So I'm trying to look and see if I missed anything. They have the blade wrapped up, and I wonder if that tipped WuXian off that it wasn't Frost, because the blade was wrapped up. I wonder if that was a tip. Some of the animation in this episode was so clean, like him just pushing the table towards Yang was so interesting. That was so cool. Well done. And then the animation in the house, that was really well done too. But the idea that this whole city is filled with corpses, and Yang makes a comment that he was going to experiment on the boys that were Wangji's sect members. So I wonder if he's just been in this city this whole time experimenting on corpses, if that's the case, and if the corpse sickness is an actual thing, if maybe he does actually have the corpse sickness. Okay, so the sleeve, Yang's arms, you see that he has a little half glove on. That's interesting. Very interesting. And like, Ling, what you doing, honey? You just trying to get through the door and everything. Oh, baby Ling. Just like when Wangji, I'm glad Wangji silenced him at the end. I was like, zip. But this whole episode is also establishing the trust between WuXian and Wangji, because WuXian, as we've learned, WuXian is very good at gathering intel. He's good at gathering information. And then we have Jing as the ghost girl leading Wangji to the sect boys and trying to help, but she's had her tongue ripped out so she can't talk. So that's interesting. And leading Wangji around to try to get him to find things. I think that's super interesting. But yeah. But WuXian going back to here, so the corpses and Baby Ling trying to fight it. And WuXian being like, let's seal that door. Let's not have them come in. Let's not mess with that right now. Don't act rashly. And then, yeah, WuXian gives himself away so easily. And he doesn't care at this point. He's like, I think he knows that it's Yang and not Jingxin. And then, yeah, Song, the corpse as a fierce corpse, shows up. But is that Frost that Song has? Is that the frost blade that he has? I don't know. It's interesting because Yang kind of makes himself collapse against the tree, which is a very clever way to kind of get out of the way and still be able to control Song as a corpse. That's so clever. I have a feeling that Yang is a lot smarter than he lets on, or that in the flashback he seemed like really arrogant and kind of like an older knee brother, but I get very WuXian vibes from Yang. Very WuXian vibes. So I feel like it's like Yang gonna be WuXian's counterpart and his antagonistic, So was it Yang that was at the assassination of King and Ning? Was it Yang that was there posing? Was he the one that started the demonic cultivation and started to control the tiger amulet's powers and made WuXian go out of control? Was it him? Was it Yang this whole time? It very well could be. It very well could be. That would have made a lot of sense. But the question is why? Why do that? There's so many whys with this episode. Like, he has the skull piercer, the same thing that Ning had in him that was keeping his consciousness from being... I wanted WuXian just like rip those out. I wanted him to rip the nails out. Like, as soon as he saw the skull piercer, I wanted him to rip out the nails. But he didn't. And I was like, dang it, I wanted him to do that. So I hope he does that in the future now that he knows that they're there and his tongue's been cut off. So that he can't talk. Him or Jing can't speak. Seems intentional. Seems very intentional. Oh my gosh. But Jingshin. So we found Jingshin's corpse in the house to keep it from going. So that would make sense. Why keep the corpse in a house that it can't escape because you don't want Jingshin to get out? Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. And there must be a reason why someone would kill their closest friend. So that's one of the big questions is, why would Jingshin kill his best friend? Why do it? And here's the thing. WuXian tries to use his ability. I want to pause this. WuXian tries to use his ability. I'm going to go back and see that again. WuXian tries to use his ability to see what was happening with Song. And we see Song chained to the wall in what looks like a cave. And there's books everywhere. It looks like a study almost. And we see Yang coming towards him. And then Yang stops the vision and has the smile. And he's like, no, you don't get to see anymore. And it's like, oh my gosh. So I love the idea of the fierce corpses against each other. Ning versus Song. I love it. Take the battle outside, boys. And oh my gosh. You're impressive indeed. And then he ends up using whatever ability he has to knock Ling out. I guess you haven't told this young man who exactly you are yet, have you? Oh. And this is the point I love about the episode. This is probably my favorite part about this episode, is establishing the trust between WuXian and Wangji. So Yang clearly knows a lot about demonic arts because he knew what type of spells and summons WuXian was using. So we established that WuXian died 13 years ago. And presumably Yang died or disappeared 11 years ago. So in those 2 years between when all this stuff was going down, there was this insurgence of WuXian imitators and people practicing the demonic cultivating arts. And I'm assuming Yang was one of them. And so clearly Yang is probably has the upper hand and has the know-how to use the abilities similar to what WuXian did. But again, going back to the last episode, WuXian's like, yeah, well, I'm the founder of demonic cultivation. You can imitate me all you want. And clearly Yang is like not disciple necessarily, but maybe a fanboy of WuXian's. He's like, oh, you're incredible, as they say. Maybe not a fanboy, but he clearly knows a lot about WuXian and a lot about his abilities, even the types of spells and things that he uses. But what I love about this scene here is that WuXian's like a rascal pretending to be a Taoist. I've heard a lot about you as well, Zhu Yang. And I would, like, floored me. But the whole thing about this scene, what I'm trying to say, if this episode doesn't stop distracting me, is that the whole time WuXian is having this conversation with Wangji, with Yang, Wangji is in the background watching. So Yang basically pulling off the blindfold and having a conversation with WuXian, and then both talking about what's going on. The whole time this is happening, Wangji is behind the wall listening. So I love that establishment of trust between WuXian and Wangji. That Wangji, up until this point, up until the last episode, you can tell that Wangji's been like, you've been back after 13 years. I finally have you back. I don't want to lose you again. And so all this stuff happens. And this is a very important moment, I feel, because Wangji, I feel like under previous circumstances would have just come bolting in to protect WuXian. But in the last episode, WuXian's like, look, I'm a little bit better at gathering intel than you are, so just let me do my thing. And Wangji listened, and he lets him do it in this moment. He lets him try to talk and get more information out of Yang, which works for a while. It's just unfortunate that it just kind of fails there at the end. He's like, if I hadn't seen the real Xingqian, I would have believed you were him for sure. He's like, oh, not at all. So I'm wondering, I have a well-known friend. Now, he's what you would call a magnificent actor. You can't hold a candle to him. So is he talking about Yao? I wonder. So then here comes the thing. What exactly do you want from me? This is the big point. Why? What is the whole point? And I like that he just sits there and puts the flute down, like, spill the beans. What are we doing? He's like, I want a favor. And I love that glance when WuXian looks over to the boards and he knows Wangji's there, and he's like, And just that little acknowledgement, so good. So good. So it's like, I want a favor. And there's something in the pouch. He's like, please. There's something in the spirit trapping pouch. And it's the symbol that was on the corpses that they found back in Yiling. He's like, Zhu Yang, you're capable of restoring even the sting. Why would you need my help if you can restore the tiger amulet to restore a spirit? And he's like, you are the founder. Of course you're better than me. You can do things I cannot. He's like, oh, that's high praise. Thanks. There are signs of spirit restoration attempts all over the city. I'm sure you've tried many times. You should know that a person who has suffered so much in life, that has no desire to live, is impossible to bring back to life. So, and WuXian would know that, right? Because WuXian, I'm wondering, at some point, WuXian, when he died originally, probably had no desire to live anymore, and that's why he didn't want to come back. And that's why everybody had so much trouble bringing or trying, because it was established way back in season 1 that people tried to bring him back and do inquiries, etc., and it didn't work. And WuXian's like, well, if you don't want to come back to life, it ain't gonna work. So it's funny that Mojang, you managed to bring him back. And we still don't know the full details about that, but, and Yang saying, I don't know. I don't care. You must help me. Oh my God. You can take your time considering it. But that young man doesn't have much time yet. I love that he's like, I don't know or care about the circumstances of how hard it's going to be. You're just going to need to do it. So who are they trying to bring back to life? That's the question. And then as soon as he says, I've got 3 other boys, if you promise to help me, I won't use them as my test subjects. And WuXian's like, do you often force people to do things like this? Of course, I'm a rascal. It takes a lot of work to restore a spirit, and your offer isn't very attractive. I like that WuXian's like, what do you want, senior? The truth behind the dismembered body and the shattered soul. Yep. And then of course, Yang's not going to give him that. I love it. The animation of this, the leaves breaking everything. And then, are you really going to consider it? And then Wangji coming in. Yes, please. That was so good. And going through the wall. He's like, Lazan, you should have came later. I almost got out of him. Crafty. Oh my gosh. This episode's so good. So good. And then he takes Zirin back with him. But oh, these boys, And then of course we have our land sect members and Baby Ling going back to the house to get cured. And then WuXian's like, yeah, it's like, we've not seen the last of him because he wants something from me, so they'll show up again. I love it so much. And then the spicy porridge. There was one scene there that I wanted him to talk about because I was trying to say something. And what did he say? It was about Wangji. And of course the boy's trying to escape from the spicy porridge. He's like, finish your porridge. I love that WuXian is trying to like force Baby Ling to eat the spicy porridge to cure the corpse sickness. And Wangji just has to say, finish it. And they do it. That's so great. Oh my gosh. And then they're just like slowly bringing the bowl back like that was the worst thing we've ever eaten in our lives. I've never had such spicy glutinous rice porridge. So spicy. But this taste feels somehow familiar. And as WuXian's talking, Ling is like just flailing his arms and WuXian's like, just eat the porridge. It's like, considering you guys are from Gusu, Huangjung is much better at handling spice than you guys. Not at all, senior. Wangji has never has spicy food. And WuXian's like, excuse me, never had it before? Is that so? Like, we're gonna have to fix that. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So then Jing comes in and leads them to the coffin to pull back. And there's Jingshin in there. So the question is, are they gonna be able to do the spirit inquiry next episode to find out what Jingshin knows, what the corpse knows, and to maybe see another flashback? Because there's so many questions. Because it showed the ghost sitting there, Jingshin and Jing were there, like they'd come back to this house. So there's that. And then we get the flashback of them 11 years ago, which was around the time that Yang died and all this stuff went down. And so she ran into him and she was trying to pickpocket him, but he was really nice and like helped her out. And then that's where Jingshin notices Yang. Now the question is, before Jingshin lost his eyesight, he knew who Yang was. So are they gonna bring, it's two blind people, are they gonna get Yang and bring him back and try to heal him and that's when he takes advantage of them? I don't know. And where does that blood droplet come from? What the heck? What the heck, show? What is this? What is this nonsense? This episode had a lot of action in it and it was really fast paced. And I felt like we got, the Yang reveal is my favorite part. Like that was awesome. That and them eating the porridge and the reveal of Jingshin. I'm so curious. I want to know. I have so many questions at this point. So many questions. My questions, I'm like, okay, where does Yao fit into all this? Yao and Yang. The fact that Yang can impersonate others. Was he there during the two wins, during their trial? Was he there? What about Jingshin? The timeline with Yang and them is a little confusing still, because in this 11 years ago, Jingshin had already lost his sight, and we know that Song had been poisoned, but Yang was still alive, and now Yang's hurt, and so it's like, what's going on? There's so much more to the story that I know we don't know, and I feel like this whole season is going to be unraveling the story with Yang and Jingshin and Song and Yao and the Jin clan, and everything is going to be tied in. I find it curious that the same skull piercers were used on Ning that are also being used on Song. Very interesting indeed. And then we have Jing, the street beggar, the girl, which the one land sect member was like, well, she just cleaned herself up a bit. I'm like, oh my god. And Sizui being the most rational of all of them, of course. But oh my gosh, guys, such a good episode. Such a good episode. And now I'm so curious to know what's going to happen next. I don't know. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please don't spoil me. If you've read the novel, please don't spoil me, because I have a feeling we're going to find out a lot in this season. Like these first two episodes have been like exposition. Here's all these new characters. Here's all these new things. I I have a feeling we're going to be referencing a lot to the flashbacks that we've had in season 2. We just haven't got there yet. But, I mean, based on the ED, because Yanli's in the ED, and so is Chang and the others. But now that Yang knows that WuXian's back, that's big. Because I have a feeling it's only a matter of time until Yao finds out. It's only a matter of time until Hui Sang finds out. It's only a matter of time until everybody else in the cultivation world finds out that WuXian's back. And if that happens, then all hell's gonna break loose. So it's like, I feel like they need to keep this self-contained while they can, but or Wangji's just gonna run off with WuXian and be like, he's mine, get away, and like run away with him. We're just gonna hold it up in Gusu. So, oh my gosh, you guys. I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below, but it's fun. I've watched these first 2 episodes because they were available the same weekend, but now it's a waiting game. Now I'm in the same boat as everybody else, and we're just going to wait till the next episode, which is exciting. I've been so used to being able to binge the episodes of Dao Zu Shi whenever I wanted, and now I actually have to wait. And so it's like, okay, all right, let's do this. So I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. And yeah, next week we will examine episode 3 of Dao Zu Shi. Bye.